My uncle slapped me at Christmas dinner. You're the family disappointment. Everyone filmed it, laughing. What they didn't see was his probation officer standing behind them. She stepped forward and said 4 words that sent him back to prison. The sound echoed through my grandmother's dining room like a gunshot. My uncle's open palm, my left cheek, white hot pain spreading across my face like fire. Christmas dinner, 28 people around the table. Turkey getting cold, mashed potatoes congealing, wine glasses half full, everyone staring. My hand went to my face, hot, throbbing. I could feel the outline of his fingers. You're the family disappointment, Uncle Rick said, his voice loud, deliberate, making sure everyone heard. 28 years old, no job, no girlfriend, living in your parents' basement like a fucking loser. Phones came out. My cousin Jake, my Aunt Linda, my brother's girlfriend, even my 15-year-old sister, recording. Some of them were smiling. Rick, that's enough, my mother said from the other end of the table. Her voice was weak, embarrassed. No, Helen, it's not enough. Uncle Rick grabbed my shoulder, shook me like a rag doll. This kid needs to hear the truth. Someone's got to tell him. My face burned. Not just from the slap, from the humiliation, from 28 people watching me take it, from the phones pointed at me like weapons. I'd lost my job 6 months ago. Software engineer at a tech startup. Series B funding fell through. They laid off 60% of the company in one day. I'd been applying everywhere since. 217 applications, 3 interviews, 0 offers. But Uncle Rick didn't care about context. Look at him, Rick said, turning to address the room. Can't even defend himself, just sits there. Pathetic. Jake zoomed in with his phone. This is going straight to TikTok. Loser gets owned at Christmas. Laughter. Not everyone. My grandmother looked horrified. My dad was half standing like he wanted to do something but couldn't decide what. But enough people laughed that it felt like everyone. I wanted to leave, just stand up and walk out, drive home, delete every family member's number, but my legs wouldn't move. Rick leaned down, got in my face. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Wild turkey, the cheap stuff he always drank when he wanted to get mean. You know what your problem is? His spit hit my face. You're soft, entitled. You expect everything handed to you on a silver platter. My throat tightened. Don't cry. Don't give them that. Nothing to say? Rick pushed my shoulder. Hard. Of course not. Probably gonna run home and cry to mommy. More laughter. My Aunt Linda was recording too. Uncle Rick's wife. The woman who'd bailed him out of jail 3 times in the last 4 years. Who'd lied to his probation officer about his whereabouts. Who'd covered for him when he punched a hole in their wall during an argument. The woman who had no idea that his probation officer was standing in the hallway. I'd seen Officer Santos arrive 5 minutes earlier. She'd knocked on the front door while Rick was in the middle of his first rant about millennials ruining America. My little sister Emma had answered, told her to wait in the foyer while she got Dad. But Dad was in the kitchen, arguing with my uncle about football. He hadn't heard. Officer Santos had been standing there the whole time, watching through the dining room doorway. I could see her from where I sat, but Rick had his back to the hall. She stepped forward now, into the dining room. The laughter stopped. Rick didn't notice. He was still in my face. You're an embarrassment, he said. Your grandfather, God rest his soul, would be ashamed of you. Richard Morrison, Officer Santos said. Her voice cut through the room like a blade. Rick froze, turned slowly. His face went white. Officer Santos, his voice cracked. I didn't know. We were just talking. I heard exactly what you were doing. She walked closer, badge visible on her belt, hand resting near her handcuffs. I witnessed assault. While you're on probation for domestic violence. The phones were still recording, but nobody was laughing now. Rick held up his hands. It wasn't assault. We were joking around. Family stuff, right? He looked at me desperately. Tell her we were joking. I touched my face. It was still burning. I could feel it swelling. Officer Santos looked at me. Sir, do you want to press charges? 28 people held their breath. I'd been working at Velocity Tech for 3 years before everything fell apart. Good job. Great team. $72,000 a year plus stock options. I'd moved out of my parents' house at 25, rented a 1-bedroom apartment in Oakland, started saving for a down payment on a condo. Life was good. Then the funding round fell apart. Our Series B investors pulled out. Something about market conditions and portfolio rebalancing. Corporate speak for we changed our minds. CEO called an all-hands meeting on a Thursday afternoon. I remember the date, June 13th. Friday the 13th would have been more fitting. We're implementing immediate workforce reductions, he said. Couldn't even say layoffs. Affected employees will receive severance packages and outplacement services. I was affected. So were 43 other people. 2 weeks severance for every year worked. 6 weeks for me. Health insurance through the end of July. I started applying to jobs the next day. Updated my LinkedIn. Reached out to my network. Applied to everything that matched my skill set. Software engineer, back-end developer, full-stack developer, even junior positions. Weeks passed. Auto rejections. Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates. My savings dwindled. Rent was $2,100 a month. Car insurance, phone bill, student loans. By September, I couldn't afford the apartment anymore. My parents offered to let me move back home. Just until you get back on your feet, Mom said. It was supposed to be temporary. The basement wasn't even a real basement. It was a finished room with a bathroom and a mini fridge. Separate entrance. I could pretend I had my own place. But everyone knew. Uncle Rick made sure everyone knew. He was my dad's older brother, 53 years old, worked construction when he could keep a job. Mostly he got fired for showing up drunk or getting into fights with co-workers. 3 ex-wives. 4 kids he barely saw. A criminal record that included 2 DUIs, 1 assault charge from a bar fight, and 1 domestic violence conviction from when he'd shoved his second wife into a wall during an argument. He'd done 9 months in county jail for the domestic violence charge, got out on probation 2 years ago with strict conditions, anger management classes, random drug testing, no alcohol, no violent behavior. He'd violated all of them except the last one, until tonight. Rick loved having someone to look down on. For years, it had been my cousin Tyler. Dropped out of high school, worked at a gas station, had a kid at 19, but Tyler had gotten his GED, enrolled in community college, was actually doing well, so Rick needed a new target. I was perfect. At Thanksgiving, he'd made comments. Still looking for work, huh? And maybe you should try McDonald's, and in my day, men didn't give up so easy. I'd ignored it. At my grandmother's birthday in November, he'd been worse. Your parents must love supporting a grown man, and what do you even do all day? Play video games? My dad had told him to stop. Rick had laughed it off. Just joking around, brother. Kid needs thicker skin. But tonight was different. Tonight, Rick had been drinking since 3 p.m., 3 whiskeys before dinner, wine with dinner, and whatever he'd been sneaking from the flask in his jacket. Tonight, he'd decided to make an example of me, in front of everyone. Sir, Officer Santos repeated, do you want to press charges? I looked at Rick, at his panicked face, at my Aunt Linda, crying now, phone still in her hand, at Jake, still recording, at my mother, who looked torn between defending me and keeping the peace, at my grandmother, who looked like she might faint. I thought about the last 6 months, the rejections, the anxiety, the shame of being 28 and living with my parents, the family gatherings where Rick had made me the butt of every joke. Yes, I said, I want to press charges. Rick's eyes went wide. You little... He moved toward me. Officer Santos stepped between us, fast. That's enough. Her voice was steel. Richard Morrison, you're in violation of your probation. Terms clearly state no violent behavior of any kind. This is different. This is my family. I was just... Your probation doesn't have exemptions for Christmas. She pulled out handcuffs. Turn around. No. Rick's voice went high, desperate. Please, not in front of everyone. Please. The room was silent except for Rick's voice and my aunt's sobbing. Officer Santos waited. Rick looked around. At all the people who'd been laughing 5 minutes ago. At his wife. At my grandmother. At the phones still recording. At me. This is your fault, he hissed. You did this. I didn't do anything, I said. My voice was steadier than I expected. You hit me. You did this to yourself. Officer Santos grabbed his arm, firm but not rough, turned him around, clicked the handcuffs on. Richard Morrison, you are under arrest for assault and violation of probation. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. I'm sorry. Rick was crying now, actual tears. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I have a job. I have a family. You should have thought about that before you assaulted someone. Officer Santos walked him toward the foyer, past the dining table, past all the family members. Rick looked back at me. I'm sorry. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her it was a mistake. I said nothing. Officer Santos paused at the front door, looked back at the room, at all the phones. Anyone want to send me those videos? She asked. Evidence is always useful for the DA. 3 people immediately stepped forward. Jake, my brother's girlfriend, my Aunt Linda. Officer Santos gave them her card. Email them to this address. Include the date and time. Then she walked Rick out, through the front door, into the cold December night. The door closed. Silence. My grandmother spoke first. What just happened? Nobody answered. My mother stood up, walked over to me, touched my face gently. Are you okay? I'm fine. Your face is swelling. I'm fine, Mom. My dad was already on his phone. I'm calling Tom, his lawyer friend. We need to know what happens next. Jake was still recording. Dude, this is insane. This is going to get so many views. Put your fucking phone away, my dad said. His voice was sharp. Now, Jake put the phone in his pocket. My Aunt Linda was still crying. He's going to go to prison. He's going to lose his job. What am I supposed to do? You could start by not making excuses for him, my mother said coldly. He was just drunk. He didn't mean it. He hit my son in my mother's house on Christmas. He was joking. Does this look like a joke? Mom pointed at my face. I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror. My left cheek was bright red, swollen. The outline of Rick's hand was visible. I took a photo with my phone. Evidence. When I came back, half the family was gone. My Aunt Linda had left, probably to go to the police station. Jake and his parents had left. My brother's girlfriend was sitting in the living room looking shell-shocked. My grandmother sat at the head of the table surrounded by cold food and dirty plates. I'm sorry, I said to her. For what? For ruining Christmas. She looked at me with fierce eyes. You didn't ruin anything. Richard did, and he's been ruining things for years. Officer Maria Santos called me the next morning at 10:47 a.m. Mr. Morrison, sorry, Mr. Thompson. We had the same last name as Rick. This is Officer Maria Santos. I wanted to follow up on last night. Okay. Richard Morrison was booked into county jail last night at 11:23 p.m. He's being held without bail pending a probation violation hearing. What does that mean? It means he's going back to prison. The terms of his probation were crystal clear. No violent nonviolent behavior. He violated that in front of a probation officer and 30 witnesses. How long? His original sentence was 3 years. He served 9 months and got early release with probation. Now he'll serve the remaining 2 years and 3 months. Plus, additional time for the assault charge, probably another 6 to 18 months. My stomach dropped. 3 to 4 years? At minimum. Possibly longer if the DA pushes for max sentencing, which, given that he assaulted someone in front of his probation officer while violating the terms of his release, she paused. Let's just say he made it very easy for them. What do I need to do? You'll need to give a formal statement. Come down to the station when you can. We'll need photos of your injury. Looks like you might have some bruising. Yeah, bring those. And if you have any text messages or prior incidents documented, bring those too. I thought about the Thanksgiving comments, the November birthday party, the texts Rick had sent me after Thanksgiving. Stop being so sensitive. Learn to take a joke. I have some things. Good. Bring everything. I went to the police station at 2:00 p.m. Officer Santos met me in the lobby. Late 40s, Latina, kind eyes but a no-nonsense demeanor. Mr. Thompson, thanks for coming in. She led me to an interview room. Recorder on the table. Camera in the corner. This is being recorded for evidentiary purposes. Is that okay? Yes. She turned on the recorder. December 26th, 2:14 p.m. Interview with Marcus Thompson regarding assault on December 25th. Officer Maria Santos conducting. She asked me to describe what happened. I told her everything. The dinner, the slap, the comments, the recording. Had he been drinking? Yes. Whiskey before dinner. Wine during. I think he had a flask too. Has he done this before? Not the hitting, but the comments, yeah, for months. Do you have documentation? I showed her the texts. The ones from Thanksgiving and November. She photographed them. This establishes a pattern. That's good. Good for the DA's case. Shows this wasn't a one-time loss of control. It was escalating behavior. She took photos of my face. The bruise had darkened overnight, purple and yellow spreading across my cheekbone. This is going to look worse before it gets better, she said. Take photos every day for the next week. Document the progression. Why? Because defense attorneys love to claim injuries weren't that serious. Progressive photos show the real impact. We talked for another 30 minutes. She asked about Rick's history, his drinking, his temper. One more thing, she said. Your family members sent me the videos. All 3 of them. I've watched them. They're damning. Damning? Clear assault. Multiple angles. Audio of him admitting he hit you. Escalating when confronted. Attempting to charge you before I intervened. Open and shut case. She paused. Your cousin Jake posted one of them to TikTok. My stomach sank. What? Posted it last night around midnight. It's got 800,000 views. Comments are overwhelmingly on your side. People calling your uncle abusive. Calling out the family members who were laughing. She pulled out her phone. Showed me. The video was titled, Uncle Assaults Nephew at Christmas Dinner. Gone wrong. 800,000 views. 45,000 likes. 12,000 comments. The top comment, that's not a joke. That's abuse. Hope that uncle gets arrested. Second comment, the people laughing are just as bad. Third comment, this is why I don't do family gatherings anymore. Jake tagged everyone in the family who was there, Officer Santos said, including your Aunt Linda, who's been commenting that people don't understand, that it was taken out of context. She showed me Linda's comment. You people don't know Rick. He's a good man who made a mistake. Marcus is too sensitive. The replies were brutal. He hit someone. That's not a mistake. Too sensitive? He got assaulted on camera. You're enabling abuse. This is going to make the DA's job easier, Officer Santos said. But it's also going to make your life harder. Are you okay with that? I don't know. Think about it. But also think about this. If you don't press charges, Rick learns he can do whatever he wants. If you do, maybe he learns consequences. The probation violation hearing was scheduled for January 3rd, and I had to testify. The courtroom was small. Judge Patricia Moreno presiding, 22 years on the bench. Rick sat at the defense table with a public defender, young guy, maybe 30, who looked like he knew he was fighting a losing battle. The prosecutor was Amanda Chen, deputy DA, 19 years experience. She called me to the stand first. Mr. Thompson, can you describe what happened on December 25th? I told the story. The dinner, the comments, the slap. Did the defendant seem intoxicated? Yes. How do you know? I could smell whiskey on his breath. His speech was slurred. He was aggressive. Rick's lawyer objected. Speculation. The witness isn't qualified to determine intoxication. Overruled, Judge Moreno said. The witness can testify to his observations. Chen continued. Did the defendant make threats? He said I was pathetic, that I needed to hear the truth. He grabbed me and shook me. Did you feel threatened? Yes. What happened after he struck you? Officer Santos arrested him. Chen played the videos. All 3 of them. Different angles. Clear audio. Rick hitting me, grabbing me, moving toward me aggressively when I said I wanted to press charges. The judge watched without expression. Rick's lawyer tried to argue that it was a family matter, that Rick had been under stress, that he'd been drinking and wasn't thinking clearly. Judge Moreno cut him off. Mr. Morrison was released on probation with explicit conditions. No violent behavior. He violated those conditions in front of his probation officer and multiple witnesses. The videos show clear assault and continued aggression. She looked at Rick. Mr. Morrison, you were given a chance. Early release. Probation. All you had to do was follow the rules. Instead, you assaulted your nephew at a family gathering while intoxicated. Rick started to speak. She held up her hand. I'm revoking your probation. You'll serve the remainder of your original sentence sentence, 2 years and 3 months, plus an additional 18 months for assault. Total, 3 years and 9 months. Rick's face went white. His lawyer tried to object. Judge Moreno denied every motion. Furthermore, you're prohibited from contacting the victim or any member of his immediate family. Violation will result in additional charges. The bailiff led Rick away. He looked back at me once. I didn't look away. By March, I'd gotten a job offer. Software engineer at a fintech startup. $75,000 a year. Better benefits than my old job. Remote work option, 3 days a week. I started that month. Moved out of my parents' house in April. Found a studio apartment in Oakland. Small, but mine. The TikTok video was still up. 1.2 million views. Jake had added to the caption, "Update, uncle arrested, going to prison." People in the comments called me brave, called Rick abusive, called out the family members who'd laughed. Some of those family members reached out to apologize. Some didn't. I didn't care either way. My Aunt Linda filed for divorce, moved in with her sister, posted on Facebook about how hard it was to be a single mom. She wasn't. Her kids were all adults. The comments on that post were less sympathetic than she'd hoped. Rick called me from prison once. I didn't accept the call. The next Christmas came faster than I expected, and this time dinner at my grandmother's house was different. Smaller. 10 people instead of 30. My parents, my siblings, my grandmother, a few cousins who'd sided with me. No Rick, obviously. No Linda, no Jake. He'd moved to Arizona, possibly to escape the internet infamy of that guy who filmed his uncle assaulting his cousin and posted it for clout. We ate turkey, mashed potatoes, pie, normal conversation, no drama. My grandmother raised her glass. I'm grateful for family. Real family. The people who show up, who do the right thing. She looked at me. Especially people who stand up for themselves. We clinked glasses. After dinner, my dad pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For pressing charges. For not letting Rick get away with it. I should have stopped him years ago. I'm sorry I didn't." "It's okay, Dad." "It's not, but you did the right thing. Even when it was hard." We stood there for a moment. "You doing okay?" he asked. "With the job and everything?" "Yeah, really good, actually." "Good. That's good." He hugged me tight. We went back inside. Rick got out of prison 2 months ago. 3 years and 9 months, minus time served and good behavior. Released on parole with strict conditions. He's living 2 hours away, working at a warehouse, not allowed to contact me or my family. I heard he's sober now, going to AA meetings, trying to rebuild his life. I hope that's true, but I also don't care. Because the night he slapped me at Christmas dinner, he made a choice, and his probation officer was standing right behind him.